Odyssey now has hundreds of new exclusive music stations for you to discover your new summer soundtrack.
Get moving with worthy workouts for a cardio sesh fueled by today's top artists.
Hanging with your crew? Throw it back with Picnic Party for old school jams for your cookout.
Or sail away with Odyssey's new yacht rock station, Jugger Yacht.
There are hundreds of new exclusive stations to check out today.
For summer barbecues,
road trips,
or relaxing poolside.
For every mood, every interest, every passion. By Odyssey. Brought to you in part by Macy's and Geico.
Hey, business owners, what if you could cut all of your business expenses in half? It would be amazing, right? Well, you could start by switching to Spectrum Business. With Spectrum Business, you get the best internet and phone service for half of what you're paying now. Call 855-212-1788 to get faster internet, proven reliability, and the most value. Only with Spectrum Business. Call 855-212-1788 today to switch to Spectrum Business.
Sports Radio 610 presents In the Loop with John Lopez and Landry Locker.
Let's revel in some misery of the Astros' opponents.
Schadenfreude.
Look at you with the German.
Yeah.
We know who you're rooting for in the Olympics now.
By the way, that dude from Tonga.
How'd they get his face on my body?
He was good and oiled up. You can look at my Twitter at Lopez on Sports if you want to do the opening ceremonies were today. But I digress.
I hadn't had a lather like that since the Chinese buffet before COVID.
He'd slip right out of the sheets.
Oh. I did see on social media video. You know they got these cardboard beds so that the Olympians don't get to heeing and cheeing.
Yeah.
Well, this one was a female U.S. lacrosse player.
Okay.
And let's just say she's not worrying about heeing and cheeing.
Yeah, okay.
She's worried about
she's gonna have fun though.
Sheeing and cheeing.
Yeah.
Well, they did various activities on top of the bed to determine if it would hold them, including like one girl was doing like calisthenics on it.
Yeah.
And the bed held.
Yeah.
And one girl was doing like push-ups on it.
Okay.
And it held. One girl like fell onto it.
Cardboard beds.
And it held. And she goes, and now for the final demonstration, me and my teammate are gonna, and then the video cuts.
That's awesome.
I was like, that's pretty good. Well done.
They should have cut to them like with afterglow. It held. Smoking a cigarette.
I feel like Olympians probably don't smoke.
I'm a champion.
You know Lopez, he's a lightweight, kind of creepy guy.
I mean, lump me in there with him because he, I thought the same thing John's thinking. I did. By the way, I'm not Landry Locker. I'm Cody Stutz in for Landry Locker. John Lopez, Figgy Fig in his normal spot. In the Loop, Sports Radio 610. All right, let's revel in some misery.
Mm-hmm.
For the past 2 nights out in the West Coast, the Dodgers have had closer Kenley Jansen blow it.
My goodness.
The Giants, we talked about him yesterday, and your son had a great line.
Mm-hmm.
He texted us.
Mm-hmm.
We were wondering who still plays for the Giants. We knew that Yastrzemski's kid played.
Yeah.
Or grandkid played.
Yeah.
And we knew Buster Posey played.
And after that,
we didn't know.
But they're good.
Your son texted us, and he said, Evan Longoria is on their team, but I thought he was a broadcaster already.
Okay.
Great point.
Yes.
Great point. So the Giants come back to beat the Dodgers. It was 3-1. They're down to their last strike. 2 strikes, 2 outs. Mm-hmm. Kenley Jansen's in there. Infield single. Guys out at second. Overturned on replay.
Right.
So that's 3-2. So Kenley Jansen, who's at like 28 pitches by this point, and Dave Roberts is over there sitting on his hands. Ain't nothing going on with the Dodgers. Okay? And Jansen walks in the tying run, and you're like, okay, is Dave Roberts going to go get him?
Yeah.
Like Dusty Baker went and got Lance McCullers with the bases loaded and no outs.
Right.
All you need to do is bring in a reliever, get 1 out. Is Dave Roberts going to get him? Nope. Jansen's still in there, hangs a slider, hang 'em, bang 'em, double off the wall, 2 runs, 5-3, Giants win. Back-to-back comebacks. Ball game. Suck on that, Dodgers.
Yeah.
I revel in your misery.
And it's the Giants, too. Boy, they hate each other, man. It's one of baseball's best.
Worth noting, this time next week, we'll know, we'll be getting ready for the Astros to play the Giants.
Mm-hmm. And then the Dodgers.
Yeah. Got the Rangers and the Mariners in the meantime.
Don't worry about the Rangers.
Yeah, I'm not going to worry about them. Okay. So, I love a good revel in some misery.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. But let's revel in some Yankees misery because it was
Everybody loves that.
It was brutal for the Pinstripes yesterday. Brutal. They had a 3-1 lead.
2 outs.
2 outs. And former Astro Kike Hernandez comes up, doubles in the runs, tie ball game. And then with the Manfred rule, runner on second, the Yankees push across a run. Now, I was talking to a buddy of mine who's a big baseball stat guy, said that the runner on second base is actually a huge advantage for the visiting team because more often than not, the team that goes ahead first wins, especially in these extra inning scenarios.
Makes sense.
Okay? So the Yankees go up 4-3.
You're thinking, all right.
All right? Now,
Dodged a bullet.
the Red Sox get to start with a runner on second. That's the rule. So a wild pitch gets the runner to third. A couple pitches later, a wild pitch ties the game.
Unbelievable.
So that pitcher's having a rough night. And Aaron Boone is just sitting on his hands. Ain't nothing going on in the Yankees bullpen. Ain't nothing going on in the dugout. So what does the pitcher do after he has a wild pitch, let the run in? He walks that guy. Then, John, he throws another wild pitch. Winning run at
So
second
what's the
base.
count now?
3 wild pitches.
Okay.
Winning run at second base.
All right.
John,
No, he didn't.
he threw another wild pitch. He threw another wild pitch, winning run at third. All you need now is a sacrifice fly, and that's all the Red Sox got. Game over, 5-4. Red Sox come back to beat the Yankees in fantastic fashion.
Well, at least Yankees fans are rational.
Well, you guys are big fans of Big Nick Turturro.
Big Nick is gold.
So after some creative editing, this is a string of Big Nick Turturro videos. And listen to his exuberance as the game is going early and as he's getting excited, and then as things don't go so well.
As it starts to unravel.
Correct. As things don't go well. Let's hear from Big Nick Turturro and revel in the Yankees' misery.
They can lay off the fucking pitches, but we don't. But we swing at balls in the dirt. So frustrating. I'm fucking pumped, guys. It's the 6th inning. It's 1-0. I'm on edge. It's a 4-game series. We need the one game. We need this first game tonight. I can't be screaming for 4 fucking days. I'm pumped. I'm pumped. Come on, Sal! Why are you throwing that pitch? Sal Romano. Good name. Good Paisan boy, but I don't know who he is. I hope this is the right move. What a dumpkin move with all these righties coming up. Should have just kept Big Sal in there. This move could cost us the game. Lucas Litke over one fucking batter. A lefty who's not even a home run hitter, Verdugo. Lefty, righty, lefty, right. It was all righties coming up.
He went from, who is this guy, to, you should have left him in.
That's my favorite part because
How the hell did you take him out? I didn't know who he was 2 minutes ago.
Every single one of us has either been or knows irrational fan guy who has no idea who the guy is, and 2 minutes later it's their favorite player. Sal Romano, what's he doing throwing this
Paisan.
pitch? There's a good Paisan there. Hope I didn't jinx him. And then it's like, you should have left Big Sal in. He not only did he go from who's Sal Romano, he gave him a nickname.
Big Sal,
He
man.
said Big Sal.
He is Big Sal.
Should have left Big Sal in. Oh man, he had me laughing.
Yankees lose.
I would have grabbed the ultimate, the last one, but it mostly was just cuss words, and we didn't need to hear a 30-second beep. Basically,
This is true.
New York now 8 games.
Oh yeah,
8 games back in the American League East. So the likelihood, and you know this old baseball adage. Heck, I think you might have taught it to me. Is it takes about a week per game back to make up. So the Yankees are, in theory, 2 months behind.
They're 8 weeks behind.
Yeah, they're 8 weeks behind
Make
the
up
Red
a game
Sox.
in the standings. Generally, it's if you're playing well, it takes you a week.
Right. The Yankees 4.5 back from the second wild card spot. That's owned right now by the Oakland Athletics. Tied with the Seattle Mariners, who are 4.5 back. Yankees, I ain't worried about them.
I don't think they're going.
I saw a rumor that they might trade for Trevor Story. Go for it.
Not
All you're
gonna
doing is
happen.
blowing a prospect
Yeah.
because you're not going anywhere.
Right.
Okay, this Yankees, they are going to have a interim manager here before too long.
Well, or just write it out once it gets off the rails. But yes, he's gone, which is so weird. You know, two times to the ALCS, but still, man, it's the Yankees.
Yeah, and
they're unraveled. They should be a lot better.
I'm not worried about the Yankees. I'm not.
No.
Are there any teams in the American League that, if you're an Astros fan, worry you a little bit? And what teams are they?
Did I say yes?
Yes.
I think the Red Sox are just an automatic. I know that the Astros have played very, very well against the Red Sox and have had some good moments against the Red Sox, but their roster and staff and bullpen is just next level.
Well, and Chris Sale's lingering. They might get Chris Sale back.
Yeah.
Who knows what kind of condition he's going to be in, but they might get him back.
The Red Sox for sure are on that list. White Sox have gotten a lot of run. Astros have had their number. I think the White Sox.
Those 2 games don't scare me.
They're really good. They have another great roster, but I would like my chances against the White Sox.
That'd be a perfect example of the Astros playing a team where they just have a little bit more experience.
Yeah. And their number.
And they have their number, and the talent level's pretty close.
Yeah. A's, not really. Kind of along the same lines at a lower level, slightly lower level of the White Sox.
If the A's wanted to actually spend money and go get a big-time player to add to their team.
But do they?
Like, they don't. I read it last night.
Yeah.
They are worried about – John, think about this. You have a chance to go to the playoffs, a chance to win the American League West. The Oakland Athletics are worried about a $5 million spend on Trevor Story.
Yeah.
You kidding me? $5 million?
That's nothing.
Of course, they can't even get 5,000 fans into that place.
Well, that's part of the reason.
Making up $5 million takes 5 years probably.
And then there are the Rays. The Rays scare me. They do. And
you saw what they did yesterday.
Yes, I was just going to say, they got Nelson Cruz, man.
78-year-old Nelson Cruz.
I believe 41, but you're in the neighborhood.
Right.
But balling. I mean, absolutely having a great year.
Taters.
It's not bothering him at all, his age. I mean, he is having a really good year. Nelson Cruz to the Rays, who are right there, at the top of the AL East with the Red Sox.
1 game back from the Red Sox and in first place in the wild card.
Right. And have a little score to settle in their minds with the Astros. I think they are really good. They just brought in Nelson Cruz. They're kind of if they face the Astros, they're going to be very, very motivated and have that little burr in their saddle, so to speak.
I would say it this way about the Rays: they're not scared of the Astros.
No,
the White Sox might be in a playoff series. The White Sox staring down, seeing the Astros across the field. The A's in a playoff series, seeing the Astros across the field, might be a little bit nervous.
Red Sox wouldn't be, but it's a good matchup.
Red Sox wouldn't be. The Rays ain't scared.
Yeah.
I mean,
and they're making moves, man.
And they're making moves. Yeah. And who knows? They may have a little bit more, juice left in them here. 13 home runs already for Nelson Cruz.
Yeah, I think he's batting like 290 something. I mean, he's having a really good year. He's 41, but it's not affecting him.
Yeah.
And the Rays and the Astros have the exact same record right now. They're good. They're good. And they just added Cruz.
Yeah, Nelson Cruz, nice little addition for them. And when I said 13, I meant 19 home runs. Sorry.
Yikes.
19 home runs, a 294 batting average.
Yeah, 294.
370 on base percentage. Pretty good.
It's a good get.
Good get. Obviously just the DH, but that's a monster bat in their lineup. They're probably not done. They feel like they're ready to kind of get things going. The Rays do scare me a little bit. Rays, yes. Red Sox, yes.
Right. So you agree with me.
White Sox, no. A's, no. And then there's not really. I mean, Mariners, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Pogalon don't scare me.
Astros going to take on and Jack slap the Rangers tonight. Odorizzi on the mound, then Fromber tomorrow, and then Greinke on
ZG
Sunday.
ZG feeling weird. He might just throw a no-hitter on Sunday. You never know.
I just, people have been up and down. I would trot him out there every day, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, all pitchers do, but he's going to have a bad day here and there.
Hey, look, there's going to be one day he gives up 6 runs in 5 innings.
He's battled location depending on the umpire. Shout out to Joe West.
Jeez. Be glad when he's gone.
And Hernandez and whoever that other slug was that squeezed him. But yeah, I'll trot him out every day.
Jack slapped.
They are.
That's what the Texans have been jack slapped.
Yeah, they have.
By Jack Easterby.
So is the Big 12.
Yeah. John, I think you put it succinctly. In the last 320 days, a canine, a puppy, has had more press conferences than Jack Easterby. That's next in the Loop Sports Radio 610.
His trouble with dogs, I mean, he loved dogs.
Live from the Twin Peaks studios, Sports Radio 610 presents In the Loop with John Lopez and Landry Locker.
It has been a very long time since we've heard from Jack Easterby.
320 days today.
It's been a couple of days since you've heard from Landry Locker. I'm Cody Stutz for Landry Locker. John Lopez, Figgy Fig, in their normal spots. 320 days today?
320 days today since we last heard from Jack Easterby. It was Easterby, taking some bows because Deshaun Watson had just signed a new contract, and he was talking.
Hey, business owners, what if you could cut all of your business expenses in half? It would be amazing, right? Well, you could start by switching to Spectrum Business. With Spectrum Business, you get the best internet and phone service for half of what you're paying now. Call 855-212-1788 to get faster internet, proven reliability, and the most value. Only with Spectrum Business. Call 855-212-1788 today to switch to Spectrum Business.
About it's a story of two families. And
Faith family football.
Faith family football. Before
let me just speak generally before we get into those types of specifics.
This guy, he was feeling it.
He makes me so mad.
The Astros are playing baseball. Rockets in the playoffs.
Yeah, the best part about that, Figgy, is like when Deshaun was talking about him, he's like, yeah, I kind of know him a little bit. You know, remember like a couple of days later, somebody was asking about the relationship with him. Yeah, I've seen him in the hall, basically is what he was saying.
I didn't really get a chance to talk to him like that
that's
because
what he said. Yeah.
Because of COVID.
Yeah, I didn't really get a chance to talk to him. And then Easterby's up there like, hey, it's a story of two families in Gainesville, Georgia, and all this other stuff. Like he's his boy.
Yeah, I tell you what, 320-ish days ago.
300. Do you realize if I were Jack Easterby and I were in the middle of everything that he's been in the middle of, if I was in that job and Andre Johnson said I'm worthless, in essence, if Deshaun Watson said I'm gone because of that dude, in essence, if I was involved in some really, really bad contracts that hamstrung this team, if I traded DeAndre Hopkins, if I was in the middle of all that, do you realize I would be screaming, not only having press conferences and news conferences, I'd be screaming from the highest mountain, either my side of the story or explaining the thought process, but at least being accountable. One of his favorite words, which he's not, of course.
I believe that to be one of the most difficult parts of the Jack Easterby saga is there's no explanation from really anybody on various levels for why Jack Easterby has been allowed to do this. There's been no explanation from Cal McNair why he was allowed to do this. Yeah. There's been no explanation. There was no explanation from Bill O'Brien why Jack Easterby is allowed to do that. There's no explanation from Jack Easterby on why he did these things. That's the most troubling levels of the Jack Easterby situation.
Now, John McClain has said, and I don't think he's a big fan of Jack Easterby, but that's just me saying that. He's never told me anything. Just reading between the lines, he's saying, well, an executive vice president has never really has press conferences. Well, my response to that is there's never been an executive vice president who's the focal point very publicly of the disassembling of an entire franchise. Well, I would want to talk.
He was sure happy to run out there when he got the Deshaun Watson deal done.
And he's not just been the executive vice president. He's been the general manager. He was the interim general manager when Bill O'Brien was fired and didn't talk.
And they were a team that was hot to trade deadline.
Yes.
And by the way, his inactivity probably cost the Texans like a third rounder or a second rounder, maybe. Will Fuller.
Yeah.
I mean, Fuller got suspended like 2 weeks later. That would have been that'd have been one of the lone good moves that Jack Easterby can put on his put credit to.
Yeah.
Is if he traded Will Fuller for like a third, and then Fuller got suspended a couple weeks later.
Right. But you know who has had a news conference?
Who's that?
Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy?
His trouble with dogs. I mean, he loved dogs.
Let me rub behind your ear at Texans Pup.
At Texans Pup.
He looks just like Gibson did as a puppy, except Gibson had arthritis, but that's okay.
The newest member of the organization. At Texans Pup.
At Texans Pup had a news conference yesterday.
Shall we take a listen to Texans Pup's debut?
Yeah.
His first news conference.
Who's a good boy?
The only news conference from somebody when you include Texans Pup and Jack Easterby in the past 320 days.
One more than Jack Easterby, a dog has had a press conference before Jack Easterby.
What you got, Texans Pup?
Good morning and welcome to NRG Stadium. Today's a momentous day for the organization. We're so excited by our newest member right here, and he's going to be a big, big part of things. We thank him and we thank Kroger as well as the trainers. So with that, we're going to open things up for questions, and we're going to let Texans Pup.
Oh, questions even.
Toro, I know.
How about that? Even taking questions, Texans Pup, which is more than.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, America's Vet Dogs as well as Kroger are donating handsome little guy here. It's Texans Pup, and he's going to help out a veteran or a first responder who could really use everything he has to offer.
All right. We have a press conference.
Of course, Drew Doherty assisting Texans Pup in the debut.
Yeah. I mean, how embarrassing is this?
Well,
nothing against Texans Pup. He's a good boy.
Here's what I would also say and add to the equation. Texans Pup will do more to serve this upcoming season than Jack Easterby has done. Texans Pup is going to help a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Easterby noted that, hey, you've got to lead by serving.
You got to be serving. Got to be serving. He talks about accountability.
I wouldn't let him serve me lunch.
No.
And I love lunch.
Well, definitely wouldn't let him serve me lunch, not without a food taster. Hey, T. Mill, why don't you take a bite of this first?
Did you see what Easterby retweeted yesterday?
I did not. Let me say one thing about Texans Pup.
Yeah.
When he was announced via Twitter, we read him yesterday. The entire string, or the vast majority of string of comments, ended up being about Jack Easterby. And I may be wrong on this. I've checked it twice. I think I'm right. I think they've had to, poor little puppy, poor little guy. They turned off the comments on his Twitter account.
Oh, boy.
On the dog. Because it's all turned into Jack Easterby commentary. They turned off is it true? Are you looking? Because I looked at it again this morning. I haven't looked at it lately, but I think they turned off the comments on at Texans Pup Twitter account.
So there's only 4 on this one, and no mean ones. Oh, well, no, here's one. #fire Jack Easterby, #fire Easterby.
Okay.
Let's see. There's some comments there.
There are, okay.
Yeah. There's a few. He even signed a contract.
He did sign a contract. It was a story of two families. It was. Dude.
Faith family football.
It's embarrassing.
Faith family football and milk bones.
Yeah.
Let me just speak generally before we get into those types of specifics.
It's just really, really embarrassing for the Texans. A dog has had more press conferences than Jack Easterby.
Smart, tough, dependable.
Good gravy.
I hope the dog is smart, tough, and dependable, but I hope nobody ever calls him that.
I'm a people person.
So Easterby's Twitter account is,
fire.
For him, it is. It's the smoldering rubble of what the Texans used to be.
Yeah.
What it is.
Yeah.
Yesterday, he retweeted this fun one.
Oh, great.
Support the person. Challenge the idea.
No.
It's ironic ironic's probably not the right word. It's just very tone deaf for that type of guy to say support the person, challenge the idea. Because his ideas have gone unchallenged.
And the person is not to be supported.
Correct.
But he knows what's going on. You mentioned it a little bit yesterday. Why does he? He just thinks he's right. We're all heathens. We're all wrong. We're all, and by we, I mean like everyone who follows the Texans. I mean, just like I said, look at the comments of a dog and what they talk about. They don't talk about his cute little baby puppy paws. They talk about Fire Jack Easterby. Everyone knows this dude is the problem, except the one who counts the most.
And that would be Jack Easterby.
Cal.
Oh, Cal, yeah. So that would be Cal McNair.
He is very smart.
I really hope one day Cal McNair has that Jerry Jones press conference and Cal drops a I bleeped up, because that'll be a immortal sound clip.
You might have a parade.
Yeah. It's like the Bucks yesterday. Man.
Oh, man. He's John Lopez. I'm Cody Suits in for Landry Locker. Figgy Fig in his normal spot here in the Loop Sports Radio 610. What does the Landry always say? The hits is lit.
The hits are lit.
Hits are lit.
Hits are lit. Next.
Playing all the hits. These are the hot stories of the day. Presented by BaywayLincoln.com. You're in the loop with Houston's sports leader. Sports Radio 610.
Astros, after a day off yesterday, back in action. The lowly, no good, dirty scoundrel Texas Rangers in town this weekend. Winners of two of their last 14. Losers of 9 straight.
They haven't won since the All-Star break.
Will it be 12 straight by the end of the weekend? I tend to agree with you. I also hope that to be the case as well. Jake Odorizzi, Framber Valdez, Zach Greinke, the 1-2-3 this weekend on the mound. I would expect the bats to be very active this weekend. Not quite the level of pitching that Cleveland presents from the Texas Rangers.
Rangers are just, it's kind of confusing too. It's not like they're not a money team. It's not like they haven't had, some decent leadership, but it's just all falling apart over there. They are awful. Doesn't break my heart, but they're awful.
I was told by a baseball person who is familiar with the situation that their ownership took a big hit when there was some recent oil issues.
Oh, okay.
Because their ownership are oil guys.
Yeah.
Their ownership took a big hit.
Makes sense.
And they're still kind of hobbling along from that, trying to recover. As well as they're just not very good.
They're they lost.
They haven't drafted well, and they haven't made, and they're probably going to dump some of their guys here at the break.
Yeah.
Joey Gallo being one of those guys. He was an all-star. Huge disappointment in the home run derby. Couldn't handle the pressure.
Oh, my goodness.
Just, I'm not mad because I bet on him or anything.
Of course not.
Bet on him. But the Rangers in town, I expect it to be 3-0 Astros weekend. 12 straight losses for the Rangers by the time Sunday's game wraps up. The American League not getting any easier. Nelson Cruz off of a team out of contention, squarely into the lineup of a team in contention as the Tampa Bay Rays trade 2 AAA pitchers to go get Nelson Cruz, the 41-year-old designated hitting slugger from the Minnesota Twins. Ooh, the Rays.
Rays scare me a little bit.
They got some juice, man.
And they're getting more with Cruz. And if you heard Cody say 41-year-old, don't let that fool you. He's pulling a Tom Brady, man. I mean, he's 294 batting average, 19 home runs. Just having a heck of a year is going to really put a jolt into that Rays lineup. And they're already, they have the same record as the Astros. They're already up there.
Not that they needed a ton of this too, but playoff experience from this guy.
Yes.
Went to the deep in the playoffs with the Rangers, playoffs with the Twins, and now on a Rays team that went deep in the playoffs last year. So some good playoff experience there as well. Thinking about the Astros in the trade market, it's really just relief pitcher at this point, right?
Well, I would think so, but you've heard some other things that they might get a starter, and then all of a sudden, what you can manipulate some of those other guys, that are kind of part-time starters into the bullpen. So either way, you need pitching. The bullpen. One thing we did learn, even though they had, a good homestand, is that there's some real holes in the Astros bullpen. Big time.
I would love. I mean, I don't know if it's always strange because look, Presley's the closer, and you're not. If you trade for another closer, he's not replacing Presley.
Right.
So that guy's going to have to then be. And you and I have talked about this before. Closers are weird human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, look no further than the guy that punched himself in the face and was the closer here.
God, that was funny.
Okay? Closers are weird human beings. So it's not super easy to just go grab someone else's closer and stick him there in the 8th inning. It doesn't always, just for whatever reason, their brains don't work that way. But there's a lot of good relief pitchers out there, and there's a lot of teams that, I mean, we still have 8 days till the deadline. In 7 more days, a lot of teams could find themselves in some precarious positions and want to unload whatever they have for a prospect here or there.
Absolutely.
In the relief pitching category.
Yeah,
So,
we know the separation now. We're talking about the Yankees; they're out. Not that you're going to make a trade with the Yankees. I'm saying, but to illustrate your point, there's a line.
Yeah.
And people are going to know. Well, it would be better for us if we go ahead and move this guy or this guy.
No doubt. I was talking to Baseball Spo probably 2 weeks ago or so.
About exit velocity?
No.
Spin rate?
No, we were talking about center fielders.
Okay.
And if the Astros felt like they wanted to go get a center fielder, he did mention the war of these guys.
He did?
Yes.
Okay.
If the Astros wanted to go get a center fielder, that Baltimore's center fielder, Cedric Mullins, who was an all-star, Pittsburgh's center fielder, Brian Reynolds. But I've liked what Straw has put together.
I think what we're doing, let's not get swept up in his improvement, because he has improved. I think, the last 30-something game, whatever it is, batting around 300. I still, and his defense has been fine, more than fine in some occasions. Let's not get swept up too much in that, because you can improve at that position. Yeah, he has had early in the season some missed plays.
Sure.
He should be much better on the base paths. With his speed, he should be much better.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say, get rid of him, trade someone for someone to replace him. But I wouldn't be disappointed necessarily. By the way, they got their own guy, Baez, that they put it at AAA.
So my buddies in my Astros group text, we text all the time, and these are guys that when they were terrible, we were obsessed with the minors and stuff. My buddy made the joke. Is James Click going to try to slide Pedro Baez in there like he traded for him?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, look at this new guy. Where'd he come from? Wow. Slide him in there like he traded.
Who is this?
We traded somebody to AAA for him.
Yeah.
Hold on now. Wait a second.
How did that happen?
Baseball Spo says that Baez is really good against left-handers, though. So despite being a right-handed pitcher, really good against left-handers. I got to take Baseball Spo's word.
Yeah, I do too.
So, if you told me they can only trade for one thing, a center fielder or a relief pitcher, go get a relief pitcher.
Absolutely.
I'll trust
Or
Straw
a pitcher,
enough.
but a relief pitcher specifically.
Yeah, it's not the worst idea in the world if you came across a starter that you really loved.
And then you can use some of your kind of back-end starters in the bullpen.
You do some of that, what do they call it? It's not piggybacking. I know.
Yeah.
Is it piggybacking?
I think it's piggybacking. Yeah.
Piggyback. Split start?
Well, that too.
Yeah.
Well, that too.
Piggybacking is much more fun.
I think that's the term I've used.
Hey, Odorizzi, Urquidy's going to piggyback you today. Well, that sounds bad. That don't sound right sometimes. Deshaun screwed Deshaun.
Deshaun screwed Deshaun?
Deshaun screwed Deshaun. Well, that's kind of really what the NFL's saying. Josina Anderson, covered the NFL for a few years, tweeted out yesterday that as far as the Deshaun Watson case goes, her understanding is that the NFL is still in fact-finding and monitor mode. An NFL source also made it clear to her that previous cases of players going on the commissioner's exempt list or players that were subject to the conduct policy, the league was trying to accelerate those things because those players were hoping to remain with their current team. Since Deshaun Watson's situation is different in that regard, the sense is that there, quote, isn't a need to do anything too early.
And translation, we don't want any part of that mess right now until we know a little more. That's the gist of it.
Yes.
I go back to the criminal charges. If they're brought, the investigation. If they're brought, then all of a sudden the NFL doesn't want to be in the middle of that. with him on exempt, saying pretty much we got your back. You can go ahead and get paid. So that's what they're saying. Now, it is interesting and a good point by the NFL. Like all the other ones were like just they did bad stuff, but they were going to be on they're the same team. They know.
Adrian Peterson was set to remain a Viking.
Yeah.
Antonio Brown was set to remain on whatever team he's.
Go back to Ben.
happened.
Go back to Big Ben.
Big Ben, certainly.
But they are pretty much saying, yeah, we know he's getting traded.
It is, and I don't know if we've explored this at any great length.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this happened because Deshaun Watson thinks a certain way, or Deshaun Watson's version of the stories are true. It's very interesting for a guy like Deshaun Watson to have approached the Texans, flexed his muscles like this, and demanded out when this was potentially lingering, when this was hanging around. Now, maybe he went into all those interactions and didn't see anything wrong with any of them, and he didn't think this was a big deal.
Yeah.
Or what I believe to be the most likely scenario is all this stuff was happening. His people had no idea. He told his people he wanted out. The people acted on his behalf. And then when all this stuff starts popping up, they're like, why didn't you tell us any of this?
Or he's got a real problem, even if it's nothing criminal. He's got a real problem and thought he wasn't doing anything bad. That would no respect for a professional woman.
That would be among the worst outcomes of this.
Right. Oh yeah, I did that. It was no big deal. Then all of a sudden he realized it is a big deal. Nevertheless, I keep looking at this, and you can look at it depending on the old proverbial prism. Where you're looking through. It could be really good for the Texans. It could be really bad for the Texans. It could be really good. Clearly, he doesn't want to lose that money, $50,000 a day, if you're wondering. And the Texans have a little bit of leverage there. Could be bad because they will not be able to take a step without being asked or wondering or being asked for a trade or a status from another team about Deshaun Watson.
I'm glad you brought up that T word, trade.
Yeah.
Howard Eskin. Been around the game for a while.
Yeah.
Howard Eskin talking about the situation with Deshaun Watson and the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's hear from Howard a little bit.
Everything else, Jalen Hurts has got to be better.
Hey, Howard, a real quick follow-up because of what you just said. To me, the biggest thing is this is a Jeffrey Lurie decision. He's got to make that decision. Will he bring Deshaun Watson into this organization when everything is cleared up to a certain degree? Because there are still going to be a lot of people upset because those are serious allegations. Where are you on that part of it? Do you think Jeffrey Lurie would default to giving this guy a second chance, as he's done in the past pretty consistently?
My answer is yes. I think he will give him a second chance. Because in the NFL, Andy Reid was so proper in doing things. He brought Michael Vick in to give him a second chance. And Michael Vick really cleaned up his act. Michael Vick is a good person now. What he did is just horrific, what he did. And we will never completely get over that. But he's turned into a pretty good guy. But Andy Reid now has guys on his team. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It almost doesn't matter. If a guy can play, a guy can play.
If a guy can play, a guy can play. Eskin also said to WIP that he believes there's a 90% chance that Deshaun Watson is with the Eagles if he is traded.
A 90%
90% chance? That's pretty high.
Keep in mind, as you mentioned, not only has Howard Eskin been doing it a long time, but he's incredibly plugged into the Eagles. He's even their sideline reporter. We've talked about Eagles a lot. We've talked about Dolphins a lot. Secondarily, probably Denver, maybe some other teams, but they seem pretty good about things in Philadelphia.
The Eagles potentially will have 3 first-round picks in the upcoming season. They currently have their own. They'll have a first-round pick from the Dolphins, which should be somewhere in the teens to maybe early 20s. And then they potentially could have a first-round pick from the Colts.
Right.
Because of the Carson Wentz trade. So the Eagles, as well as the Giants, are two teams, both in the same division, ironically, that could be looking for a quarterback because their current young quarterback did not pan out in 2021.
Right.
And would also have the immense draft capital necessary to go find a guy like Deshaun Watson and bring him to your team.
Yeah. Look, right now, it still goes back to how we started this conversation. The awkwardness. What is Deshaun going to do, not going to do? How compelled are the Texans? See, that's the other part of this. Okay, so he's not going to be on the list. They're going to put pressure with the $50,000 a day on Deshaun Watson. And so does that mean that they're automatically going to say, all right, we'll just ride it out, take some money out of his pocket, we'll trade him after the year? I don't think so, because it's just going to continue to grow bigger and bigger and bigger. I feel like we're missing something on the hits. It's happening, man.
Is that here? I mean, not here. I know it's in Tokyo.
It's in Tokyo. Has it arrived? It has arrived. I have a theory on the Olympic Games.
You have an Olympic Games theory.
I have an Olympic Games theory. You were talking to me, was it yesterday or this morning, saying, when do they start?
It was yesterday. I asked you, when do they start?
They start today. How about Naomi Osaka lighting the Olympic cauldron at the opening ceremonies today? Hopefully you're not, that's not a spoiler alert and you're waiting for the primetime broadcast tonight.
Nobody asked her any questions on the way either.
Naomi Osaka. I have a theory on the Olympics. From the time I could barely walk, have been an Olympics freak. Love it. Absolutely. I love this music too. Head over heels. I've been to 7 Olympic Games. I grew up in and became obviously what I am and writing and was able to cover the Olympic Games like crazy. But I will absolutely positively admit, they just don't resonate like they used to.
Yeah.
You didn't even know when they began.
So the thing that I think is a lot tougher is the opening ceremonies was this morning at like 7 a.m.
Yes.
Like if I wanted to watch it live.
Yeah.
Live will always trump recorded.
Mm-hmm.
When it is a premier marquee situation, live will always trump recorded. And so I understand that the Olympics is a very worldly thing.
Yeah.
But it's not convenient for me to watch swimming live at 7 o'clock in the morning.
That ties in with one of my 3 reasons. I'm talking like all 17 days. I was plugged in. A lot of people are in the same boat. A lot of people still are in the same boat and really, really love the Olympic Games. But I think there's 3 reasons that it's not, because it used to captivate the world, and in this country it was just dominant as something that everybody watched. I think there's 3 reasons that it's not quite as, juiced as it was in the past. Number 1, I've always supported professionalism in the Olympic Games. I think, if you're an athlete and you're making money for people, and especially the clothes you wear, you should make some money. The NIL, basically, and what they're doing in college football. But as much as I support the professionalism, I think for a lot of fans, it took away from the purity of the game. There was just something cool about, go back as far as you want. Jesse Owens, Ohio State against, the Hitler and in German. The Hitler. All the way to up until the early 80s, 1984, some of the Mary Lou Retton, just for the love of the game, People embrace that. But now that there's professionalism, they're not so much into that.
Any good books out there about the Olympics?
There is. There's actually one's going to become a movie. I'll let you know. And I'll be screaming from the highest mountain. That's for dang sure. The second reason I think that they don't resonate as much, there's no Red Machine.
There's no big bad.
There's no true Darth Vader country out there anymore. Yes, there are socialist countries. Yes, there's Russia, but there is no communist bloc. That is what made it awesome.
Right. China has success in an event here or there, but it's not like Russia where they had everybody was good at everything.
it was really East Germany when there was an East Germany and the Soviet Union. That was against the United States. Yeah. That was all. That was, talk about rivalry. That was A&M Texas times 100, and then the other reason kind of ties in with what you talked about. It's a victim of complete oversaturation.
Yeah.
complete oversaturation. It's everywhere on your phone. They have I think I think they have 9 channels that they're gonna, or maybe more.
It's a lot.
That they're gonna be airing the Olympics on.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Baseball's back though.
Baseball is back.
Baseball's back. They took wrestling out. That's like the most Olympic sport ever.
Well, they took one of the wrestlings out, right?
I don't remember. Yeah. I don't even know where they start. I don't know what they play. I do like watching archery though. That's fun.
Archery is fun.
It's fun. It's fun. Last year was like trying to hit a bullseye. It's going to be a little bit easier for the NFL this year as long as most of the players buy in. Some, including this former Texan, not buying in. We'll talk about it next in The Loop. Sports Radio 610.
Hey, business owners, what if you could cut all of your business expenses in half? It would be amazing, right? Well, you could start by switching to Spectrum Business. With Spectrum Business, you get the best internet and phone service for half of what you're paying now. Call 855-212-1788 to get faster internet, proven reliability, and the most value. Only with Spectrum Business. Call 855-212-1788 today to switch to Spectrum Business.
Hi, I'm Jason Concepcion, sports writer, cultural critic, and host of Crooked Media's podcast, Take Line. Each week, I'm joined by two-time WNBA champion and Atlanta Dream co-owner Renee Montgomery for smart discussions about sports, culture, and the ways they intersect. Our show is by sports people for everybody. New episodes of Take Line drop every Tuesday. Listen on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.